Photoshop video tutorials by Andrew Buckle. In this tutorial I'm just going to show you how you can create some interesting gradient effects using a shape with a gradient and also gradient overlays across a video timeline. Now, just going to create a quick shape, so shape there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a gradient add into it. So there's the fill, so I'm just going to go for a very, very basic design. Could go for a custom shape, circle, whatever, but I'm just going to go for a rectangle. Once you've actually done that, I can actually go to create a video timeline, and you'll see now that all the way along to the actual end of the work area, and you've got the playhead there. So I'm just going to expand that out now, and I'm just going to change the style. I'm going to set the style stopwatch, so you can now actually add a keyframe, and I'm just going to go up here. Of course, at the moment there is no style, so I'm just going to go to layer, style, and gradient overlay. Right, and now that gradient overlay has gone over top, and you can actually see, because you've got difference, obviously you just go up to normal and just goes over the top of it, but you can of course go with darken, and I think in some ways difference is probably the more dramatic, but you can of course go for overlay as well as create some, and you can move this around. I'll go for overlay, but you can go with, like I say, other blending modes, and of course you can combine with these other ones as well, but that's for other videos. So next thing to do, click OK. Now, the good thing about timeline is you can, and with style now being set, you can actually change it over the timeline. So I'm just going to do a couple of keyframes. I'm not going to do all of them. I could go keyframe all the way along and change it all the way through. So just going to go there, and I'm just going to add another. So layer style, and you see it's already been set. Obviously it's still got that one, but I'm going to vary it now. So now I could actually change this. Can change the gradient, create some interesting colour effects and way it suddenly changes, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to actually just change the position of the gradient. So just drag that over a bit over there. I can modify that, so change that slightly, as well as the scale. Click OK. Now I'm going to go there again, layer style, still selectable, available, and now I'm just going to move it now back over there. Click OK, and I'm just going to go all the way to the end. So just go there, and layer style, and gradient overlay, and maybe move it down that way. Like I say, you can actually change various settings, so you can actually just change that, just to show you what actually does happen. So there's another gradient. Now these gradients are from Graphic Extras. Obviously these ones at the top are just standard ones that come with Photoshop. Okay, so once I've done that, click that, and you can actually just see, I'm just going to go now through, I just see it go through, and then suddenly it changes. You can see the actual change, the gradient. So it's actually quite nice to actually change the gradient. So there you've got it all the way through, it's the same. So I can actually, if I just go to that one, you can actually go there and you can decide to change. So just go down there, and I can change that layer style, gradient overlay, and maybe go for maybe that one, maybe go for a linear. Okay, and again you can move, modify that, might change the angle, and change. Click OK. Now again I can go through that just quick, so you can see you can actually, it just creates, it suddenly changes in that there's no sort of nice smooth change, it actually just changes straight away. Oh, I just got to get rid of that. Let's remove the Adobe Acrobat Updater, which it decides to pop up every once in a while. Quit, I don't want that. So now once I've actually gone through all those changes, you can see it there, I can now just put that back up, go over to a layer, and I can go to Smart Objects and convert to Smart Object. So I can actually change that whole thing. Now what's happened is I can actually go there. Now you suddenly see all those styles have actually changed, actually gone. But of course, if you actually go through it again, you can still see it. It's still there. It's actually within Smart Object. You can actually see it change, just like that. Goes through there. So what you can do now, of course, is add style there, and I can actually now add layer style and gradient overlay, and add that on top of that one, so you can actually see the under. And I can change that, maybe have a different gradient. Click OK and go along, and you can see it change, modify there, and again it's changeable and variable over a timeline, so a gradient overlay, and I can maybe go for a different gradient again and move that over there. Click OK, and I can of course just play that. And one thing also you notice, if you actually go with that, you can actually get this transform, which is quite useful, because you can actually then, with a smart object, you can actually click there and you can actually turn around and say, well, actually instead of just having that, I can actually have rotations. So I can just actually just rotate that, or scale, and that can be keyframed as well. So I can actually go along and maybe say layer, so edit and transform, and maybe perspective. So I can actually just say go down there, zoom down there, click OK, and that again can all be modified, and you can actually see it just goes off. Now, I wouldn't say that's the best use of things, but I'm just showing that you can actually use transform. I don't really want that, so because I want to actually go back. So I'm just going to go back to gradient overlay. Okay, so now I've got this design that I can actually just, like I say, run through. You can actually see the changes. And if you want to create even more sort of weird and wonderful colour scheme, of course you can now, you could of course go and create this as a smart object again, and then create another overlay of another gradient on top of the original one. Might start getting very messy after a while, but you can certainly create some very interesting abstract colour effects. But of course it's just a layer, so you can actually just go to layer and duplicate layer, click OK, or you could of course create a completely new another object. So got that, and I'm just going to move that just there, and you can see it's still got actually all of the other various just down there. Now what I can do now of course is I can actually change the gradient for that, so I can go to layer style and actually can make a different one, so I can actually have that over there, and I can add layer style, gradient overlay, move that down there, scale, and of course with that you've actually got that blend there, but you can actually turn around and of course you've got, it's just a layer, so you can actually say darken, and you can actually just blend those layers and create some really quite interesting colour effects now. So just click there again, and you can actually see now that changing over time, of course. And I'm going to extend it again, creating another. So you can actually select that, and once you've actually done that, you can actually select all of those. Both of those smart objects have been selected. They're still smart objects. You can still edit them at any point, and you can actually go to layer and layer smart object and combine those all into a smart object. Right, so you've actually now, and I'm just going to go back to the start, straight back to the start. Of course, with smart objects you can also add smart filters if you wish as well, but unfortunately you can't get those to vary over time. So that's one sad thing. Okay, now you can actually go layer and duplicate layer, and that's a group of a group of a group, and so on and so on. So you can actually then say add a transformation. So you can say transform, or you can just go up to here and transform flip, so that goes over the top, and again another blending mode, say difference, and you can say create a sort of mirrored sort of distortion effect. And of course you can vary the style again here. You can actually go over here and make that variable and add different keyframes to that to make that slightly vary more. So once all that's done, you can actually run through that. You can actually see this modify over time. I'm just going to rush through it, otherwise it's just not going to do that much. You can actually see the colours change and blend thing. And of course, you don't have to have it as a small little object like this. You can actually have it as a 2000 by 2000, and for video purposes I just created it a fairly small little design, but it doesn't have to be that. That's one good thing with gradients, they can be any size, so you can see that just changing. And of course you can make that as a tile effect or any other design as well. Hope you found this tutorial